Hi, I'm Patty with StudioR12 Stencils, and today I'm going to show you the difference between water-based stain and oil-based stain. I am going to be staining dimensional lumber today. Dimensional lumber means it's the wood that you get at the hardware store, the lumber you have in the back of your shed in your garage. Generally speaking, this wood is rough. When you get ready to stain your project, you're going to want to make sure, no matter if you're oil-based or water-based, you're going to want to make sure that you are smoothly sanded. I see one mistake that a lot of people make, and they will take an orbital sander and the orbital goes in little circles. When you stain your surface and you've used an orbital sander, you will reveal all of the little orbits. So you want to go with the grain of your wood at all times, and you want to use something coarse for your rough edges, and then you want to use something smooth to smooth it out. Your stain is going to reveal whatever is going on with the wood, so it will reveal every one of these little lines. So you want to make sure that you're nice and smooth when you get started. Okay, let's get started with the water-based stain. I will talk about the difference real quick. This is an oil-based stain. If I oil-based stain on my wood, I can paint on it with my water-based acrylic paint. I've done it for years and years and years, and it works great. So this is made with a petroleum base, and this is made with a water base. This is super stinky, but it does penetrate your wood. This is not stinky, and it dries about the same speed. Both of them can be mixed, so you can mix your colors with other things. You cannot mix water with this. This one you can mix water with. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to use the water-based stain. So this is Early American, and then this is a dark brown. This is a Minwax water-based stain. Get them at the big box stores. I already know by looking at this that I'm going to think this is too dark, but I'm going to show you what it would look like first. It's going to almost be a base coat. Now I could put it on and then I could wipe it back to lighten it up. So that is one way that you can manage that, is just to go ahead and back off of it with your paper towel. I could put it on, and then when it's dry, I could sand it down, and that will make it lighter as well. That seems like way too much work. So what I could also do, look how pretty that is, just showing off the wood. I can mix it with some water. So I'll just take just a little bit of it and move it out here on my palette. And then that will be much lighter than that very, very dark original coloring. So that is one way that you can manage your stains. You can also mix them. So we'll just stay on this board right here, and I can go into my white. We don't use white stains so much anymore. Years and years ago, this was called pickling wood. So that was a really neat look. It just makes the wood look almost Scandinavian. And right now, with all of our boho and our hygge and all of those effects going on, this would be a really nice time to maybe bring that technique out. I'm going to switch brushes to a clean one, because there will probably be too much brown in that to balance out any mixing. So we take our white, we can pick up our brown, and that's just gonna make that into a whitish brown. Okay, we could also go into this more yellowy color. We can also use these individually as well. So I'm gonna just go into those two. So you can make any kind of color combinations. You really don't need 20 colors of stain. You just need a couple basic colors that you like, and then you can kind of mix and match them together. Now that you know how to thin your stain, then you want to make, I like to use the lid of like a coffee can or something like that to keep the liquid kind of confined. When you have your stain color, then you're going to take the foam brush, that's a poly foam brush, and you're just going to do an even coat. You'll wipe it back if that's what you want to do, and you'll do all of your edges. You do want to watch one thing. If I go here and I put that stain on and I let it sit for a while and then I come back to it, I am going to end up with a different color over here because it will have dried, and then I will have put another layer over it. So you want to be really careful. I'll show you here because this is taking its time drying. If I put another coat right on top of it next to the lighter area that was already dry, it would make it be very different in color. So you want to be careful that you know that. All right, when we're going to be using oil-based stain, one of the things that we want to do is have a surface that we don't mind messing up, because if you get oil on a pretty countertop or something like that, it could be a bad thing. So you could also use a big piece of cardboard. That would work as well. You definitely want to make sure when you're using oil-based or petroleum products that you want to use gloves or some sort of protector for your hands. You don't want your hands in that. It stays on your hands for a really long time if you do use bare hands. We always use a lint-free applicator. That could be an old t-shirt or these blue shop towels. They work really well. You always want to make sure to use a stir stick and stir up from the bottom of your stains so that you get all of the goobers all mixed in nicely so that when you apply your stain, it'll be even. You can definitely use a flip top bag to protect your hands. I did find when I was doing this that it left marks a lot of places, so I would probably switch to the nitrile gloves in this case. To get started, you're going to dip your towel into your stain, and then you're going to apply it in a nice even motion across your surface. Stain will not penetrate on a sealed surface, so make sure that your wood is unsealed when you are using oil-based stain. You always want to make sure when you're using petroleum products or oil-based products that you are in a well-ventilated area, like a garage with the door up, something like that. Definitely read the manufacturer's suggestions. And then in this case, I'm outside. It's a pretty day. So we definitely always want to sand first in the case of this really rough patch right here. If I had sanded that first, I wouldn't run into that area. But if you like a more rustic look, then maybe not sanding first is a good option. If your stain starts to get uneven, wipe it back immediately, because otherwise you'll leave like residuals and you'll get some layering and some bad uneven application of your stain. On our end grain, we're pushing in the stain into the ends of the grain instead of wiping it on. It's almost impossible to wipe it on. It'll skip and make a mess. And always when you're using an oil-based stain, you want to watch for your drips and runs and clean them up and wipe them back as you go. All right, let's take a look at these side by side. This is the one that we showed you outside. This is the Minwax Early American. If I wanted to darken this up, I could go back and do another coat. And then this is a mix of our number 3 stain Minwax, and we'll get the colors for you and put them up above or down in the description. And then that's the number 4. So we did just a 50-50 mix with some water. What I like about the Minwax is I like that it is like sucked into it. This is kind of more of a surface thing. This one is sealing your wood down and making it feel a little bit different. I really love oil-based stain. However, the pain points of having to go outside on days when it's snowy or cold or raining and whatever, windy, and do that kind of stuff. You can do it inside a garage, a ventilated garage, by using a mask that is a respirator mask. So you make sure that you're not breathing those fumes. They're really bad for you. So do not do that to yourself. But you can see that you can make the effect of a beautiful stain using water base or oil, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this.